Well, we're breaking new ground. It's the Guardian's first Rugby League chat and a good occasion for it as well. It's the 14th Rugby League World Cup, a history that stretches back to 1954. I'm Andy Wilson, I cover Rugby League for The Guardian and The Observer, and I've been joined by Tony Rea, the London Broncos coach, a man who's been at the sharp end of Rugby League for decades, haven't you, Tony, as Chief Executive Coach?
Not too many decades, I hope you say.
And obviously as an Australian voice as well. The Aussies have dominated Rugby League for a long time, and yet they come over here as tournament favourites but not the holders after that remarkable win for the Kiwis in Brisbane in 2008. I guess the first question is, can the Kiwis do it again?
The obvious answer is yes. I actually think they've got better. I think their confidence has grown out of that, and I think they'll walk into this tournament very confident. And they've got big players playing well in the NRL and playing well in England as well. A factor will be Wayne Bennett not being there. If we do want to compare the two cups, they had the world's best ever coach in rugby league guiding them through that. And when you talk to people involved with New Zealand about the whole campaign, they always talk about little things that Wayne mentioned. And, you know, funnily enough, they had nothing to do with rugby league. Really? They had to do with preparation, you know, about standards. And he just guided them through how to live in a hotel, you know, how to get to training, you know. However, focusing on the people that are here, the obvious one will be Sonny Bill Williams. Yeah. I think it's, you know, it's a big play for them. All season he's come up with the big plays at the right time in the big games, and that's what they will need. He will give them confidence.
And what about a potential negative with Sonny Bill? The way he's been in the squad, late call, disruption, Tohu Harris going out. Is he a disruptive fella? Could he cause trouble, or will he be a positive influence, do you think?
I think he's grown up from that. I think he's definitely learnt the value of team. I think he's put his hands up for the right reasons. I think it dawned on him what he'd given away. It was only a 24-hour error. There was you know, he didn't get much time to reflect on this thing if you're fair on him. And the other thing with Sonny saying no and then coming in the next day and saying yes, if you've watched how the teams react on the week since, playing pranks on him, working off him in training, you can see that they've actually done a great job in galvanising. So look, you know, again, it's about what's in, and the guys in are really good. So he's going to be terrific for them. They're also terrific in key positions. You know, Foran's playing fantastically well at 5'8", you know. They've got what you want. They really do have what you want there, and they're big, mobile, full of skill, full of speed. So, you know, they're right in it.
But it's funny, you talk about those key positions, and yet we've not really talked about Australia. How can anyone ever beat a team with Slater, Thurston, Cronk, Smith in those key positions? They're just unbeatable, aren't they, really? Yeah,
and for some, and you also look if someone drops, who goes in there. You know, Daly Cherry Evans has been the player of the match in a losing game in a grand final a month ago, and outstanding as a sub in Origin. That guy is ready. Greg Inglis is basically the fullback of the year, and if there's a problem there, you've got Jared Hayne or Darius Boyd can fit in there. You know, you've got wonderful, wonderful talent right across that team. I looked at their 24, and you almost weirdly did the reverse rules and said, who would miss out?
Right.
Like, who's going to be the guy walking around in a suit on game day? It's pretty scary stuff.
Well, right, you've terrified us there, and let's try and be positive. Let's talk about England. Have we got a cat in hell's chance? You know, we've had two terrible World Cups, 2008 in Australia, 2000 over here. We're quite ambitious this time, quite optimistic. Good preparation in South Africa, some blokes in Australia, the Burgess boys, obviously, Graham, Widdop. There's Tompkins and Hall over here. You know, is there a chance in that first game in Cardiff, or more generally for the tournament?
The preparation, firstly, that's been a terrific investment, I think, to go to South Africa. Just draws a line in your season, goes out and freshen up mentally. Pulls you away from the phones and ringing mates and worrying about things. It just makes you a team straight away. You keep hearing all the other thing they're talking about is how hard they worked. You know, that's a great sign. You know, they haven't gone out there and just tried to bond and get together. Best thing you do to get ready for a tournament is to work hard, learn to trust each other, look each other in the eye and know you've done the work. There's some confidence will come out of that. You're talking about spines of your team. The British game plan will probably be based around an enormous front row. They'll be fantastic. James Roby's world class at hooker. You know, he's up in that league.
It's interesting because some people are saying you should be looking at McIlroy at hooker England actually at the moment. But I must admit, I agree with you. I like Roby a lot. You know, he's got better as a footballer, I think, as well as all the physical attributes, hasn't he?
McIlroy had a fantastic grand final. He's had a very good season. Roby was out for a long time. Roby made a big difference to his team when he got back in, and he played fantastically well in the playoffs. James Roby's critical.
Yeah, they've got some good characters in that squad, haven't they? You mentioned the Burgess boys, Graham, but Sinfield, O'Loughlin, they're good guys who've been around a long time now. So
feel like they're ready for it. You feel like the blend's right and all that. And it's not a hope this time, I don't. You know, last time you're thinking, they might be able to get away with one result here and there. The first game's important. There's no question to them that, so their preparation's been good. But as I said, they've been good across most positions. You talk about some of those tough guys in there. They are World Cup players. You know, their blokes will get their jobs done in a big tournament. That's critical.
Who can we see as the real surprise packets, perhaps little games, little events in this tournament that we should be looking forward to?
I don't know why. I sort of fancy the Cook Islands. I
Really?
like the way they work their way through the Pacific Nations tournaments and won that to get on top of that. No one sort of recognised that for them. So they've got an ability as a team when you watch their games to get the best out of themselves. How these teams handle the month and a half will be critical.
Right.
Because they're not going to be in the best hotels with all the lavish support, and they're not flying out to Africa for high altitude training camps. Okay, these guys have to do it their way, and they have to enjoy it that way, and they have to enjoy this month their way. And you just get a feeling that the newer teams, I think Italy will be a surprise.
Do you?
I really do. I think they're going to be so excited to be in there, and there's quality across the park. Too many people are talking about a couple of senior blokes pulling out, but there's a real energy in Italy, and there's been energy in them for the last year.
Right.
They've been really driving, recruiting, getting ready, and so I think they're a genuine chance of sneaking through in their group. So
it's interesting with Italy, isn't it? Because they will be one of the sticks that people will use to beat the tournament. You know, they're a bunch of Aussies. What are they doing playing for Italy? And there is some validity in that. You know, there's a worry that the Italian comp is split inevitably, Rugby League. But it seems to me that the guys like Minicello who've put their hand up, there's a real fierce commitment there to represent their ancestry, and you can overlook that sometimes, can't you, in the lack of authenticity of them.
I think you've got to overlook it. Yeah, they're proud, aren't they? They're taking their bloodline out and to play rugby league. They're rugby league people. They really want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, they really want to represent their home countries. You know, first time in, work so hard to get here. Not that difficult a group if they really want to have a good crack at it. Could actually surprise a lot of people.
Well, that could be a worry for Wales. They play Italy in the first game at the Millennium, don't they, in that double header with England, Australia. I can't wait for New Zealand, Samoa on the first Sunday night at Warrington. That's going to be an absolute cracker. But I think that's what we're saying. We're looking forward to a celebration, really. Most of the best rugby league players on the planet are here for a month, I think, and the final on November the 30th at Old Trafford.